Hi, was there a question?
Yeah, I'm getting an error message. I sent an email over. When I click to join the meeting, I mean, I can listen by the phone, but it says your meeting service had a problem processing your request. Contact your support or administrator with the following error.
Can we send over a link?
I don't know if this
Bernadette?
helps, but I got the same error message and when you clicked on the link to join the webinar, but what I did instead was I think Victoria sent over in the location of the invite was a long link. I just copy pasted that into
Hello?
Yes. Sorry about that. You broke up at the end. You just copied and pasted that into like Google Chrome or something and it let you go forward.
Yeah, it did, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you guys can try that and see if that's working, if that's an option.
So
Thank you for sharing.
I've missed whatever, this is Kathy Burke. I've missed whatever you guys were talking.
So some people were expressing an issue with getting into the meeting. I guess more than one person experiencing this. The original invite that went out a couple of days ago has in the meeting location a WebEx link. And that WebEx link will let you into the meeting so you can actually see what we have on screen. So you can copy and paste that WebEx link from the location of my original email. And I know people are sharing stuff into the chat as well about some options there. So we're going to go ahead and get started since we're a few minutes late. Bernadette, if you wanted to check the email, I'm not sure where that email went, if it went to me or it went to you. But Bernadette can respond via email as well. We're getting some feedback. If people can please mute themselves upon entry. Bernadette, were you able to mute that person?
I'm working on it. There's an awful lot.
Okay, perfect. I know there's a lot of people. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, guys, we have a lot to share, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. As we already introduced ourselves, I'm Victoria Suarez from George Mason University. You've met Bernadette Davey. If you've worked with the Career Fair team before, then you probably know us. Our names sound familiar. We're going to go through a lot of information today. I want to invite you to use the chat box. You're welcome to just drop questions in. Bernadette's authorized to interrupt me as much as she needs to make sure we get answers to your questions. First things first, our career fair is slated for June 18th and June 19th. You'll see there's two different times there, right? So one is starting at noon, one's starting at 10, just drawing your attention to that. Some people were not sure about that, but we're trying to let our Friday employers leave a little bit earlier and start a little earlier since that seems to be conducive to what's the best practices. So that's just the basic information. Some people on the call today have never recruited at a Mason Career Fair, and some of you have. I thought it would be appropriate to start with some differences and similarities. One of the biggest differences, and guys, I know when we're on a webinar, some of us, we kind of drift in and out. I know that's common. I've been on a lot of webinars too, but this is one of the most important things you're going to hear about today. The big difference with this online platform is the early engagement. Students already have full access to your employer pages. They're already logging into the platform and they're already trying to engage with you. So this is one of the biggest differences. There's also a resume Dropbox feature, which many of you already set up. I just checked it this morning. Thank you for doing that. For anyone who has not, we will walk through that process today. You got to create your virtual booth. So you're registered on Handshake with Bernadette. Now you're back in Jobs Connected, creating your booth, which we'll talk about. There's also an automatic post-visit message that goes out to students who visit you on the day of the fair. So we'll talk today about making sure you're giving the students and the job seekers whatever message it is you want them to walk away with. So I'll tell you where to put that message today. But there are also a lot of similarities, right? So we talked, those are some differences. Similarities, this fair is open to all Mason alums, all Mason students, any level of student, right? So PhD, masters, and those undergraduates as well, brand new starters. So it's going to run the gamut. Full-time, part-time, your internship seekers, they're all going to be there looking for a variety of opportunities. And we'll talk today about diversity in its many forms. So students that are very prepared and professional, ready to go, and students that are doing this as part of their professional development and would benefit from hearing from you. A few important dates that I would probably jot down. And before you ask, yes, these slides will be available right after this webinar. I'll send these out to everyone that was invited, so you'll have access to this information. Yesterday, June 4th, your employer booth opened. You'll hear a lot about the booth today, but there's an engagement piece that happened yesterday. Students are already roaming on the website. They're already checking out your opportunities. And as some of you already saw, they're already applying. So the engagement has begun. This is why meeting you today was so important. During the engagement, during this open engagement, students will see your employer page. They can ask you questions. So I want you to be prepared to answer those questions and to know where to go to get this information. Also, students are starting to submit resumes and apply for positions. We're getting questions. How do you access the job fair? On the day of the job fair, what do you do? Where do you go? Jobs Connected is going to send you a link a couple of days before the fair. They're going to do this. They're going to send it to the lead recruiter. Whoever it was that registered gets a link, and that person should share it out with the team. Just save the link. About 20 minutes before the job fair starts, you want to click on the link to enter your booth. And so everyone's using that same link. And then on the 18th and 19th, everything opens and you'll actually have that live engagement with students. So this is essentially the time frame of what's happening over the next 2 weeks. A few of you indicated again that you weren't sure about the type of students that might be showing up. Who are these students? How can you prepare your team? So before I get into the heavy technology piece, I wanted just to briefly mention who are Mason students. Mason students overwhelmingly have never been to a virtual career fair experience. So you might notice that they seem unfamiliar or uncertain about how to navigate this space. It's likely because it's their first time. Based on the questions we're getting, that's what we're noticing. They like our big live events, so they're willing to try it, but just so that you know. Many of them are working while they're in college. Mason students, about 75-ish% leave school with already having work experience. So they might be coming in a little bit later in the day to this event, right? So sometimes you'll expect, you know, as soon as it starts, they'll be there. These students are likely working or possibly raising families or have other responsibilities as well. So they're very involved students. They're very concerned about the economy, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because you might be answering questions at the fair that you normally don't answer in relation to what's happening now or what's projected to happen. So again, that's to my fourth point, they're seeking advice. So some of what you might be talking about with students is advice. We'll talk about how to structure your conversations for that advice. The other thing that some employers are ready for and some aren't, students want to talk about, of course, what your targeted positions are, but the non-targeted positions, right? We know that some of you are looking for nurses, but what about all the admin and support positions? Can they talk to you about those as well? That's their expectation. It's what they want. So wanted to bring it to your attention. And we'll have a variety of students, all ages, all backgrounds. Some are citizens, some just graduated. A lot of thousands of alumni have been contacted about this event. So you're going to see a range of people here, range of job seekers. So that's just a little bit of background about who's going to be with you at the fair. Yes, we can hear you. If you don't mind muting yourself. Thank you. All right, so the job fair platform, this is the important part. Many of you have been to career fairs in this virtual space before, but some of you haven't. And I don't know how many of you have been at Jobs Connected career fairs before. So I want to introduce you to the platform. I've embedded a video in this slide. I will not play it because it doesn't play well over this platform. But when you get the slide deck today, you can walk through the platform using this video. It'll give you a lot of background. But I want to go through step by step what the different features are. And I'm gonna actually toggle over to the website in just a moment. But what can students expect when they get to your booth? Right now, a lot of you have done a good job of uploading text. So you have information about your company, what you're hiring for. Some of you have included mission statements. I even saw a few of you with links to like your Facebook page and LinkedIn. That's great. You also can upload videos and pictures. So some people will take advantage of additional media, right? Students feel comfortable over the next 2 weeks getting in there and researching you. That's what we're telling them to do. So the more that you make your page robust, the more likely they are to spend time there and engage with you in advance. So please take advantage of that multimedia component, but just be aware that captions are required for any videos. We want to make sure we're being friendly to people of all abilities. So please caption the videos. And if you are unable to, let us know. We're happy to give you some direction on that. Any company literature. We know you have it on your website, so if you don't mind linking your literature to the Jobs Connected page, that would be helpful. Any links, I already mentioned that, and then full descriptions. What's happening at your company? What's happening in the future? You know, what do you guys have on the horizon? The more information, the better, because students have a full 2 weeks to go explore your booth. So please give them a lot to do and give them a lot of information so that your recruiters can talk about something different at the fair, because students can be advanced researching your organization. So what kind of links might you include on your Jobs Connected employer page? Your postings and Handshake, absolutely. There's an automatic link built in, which I'll show you in a minute, but you can actually spell out your job openings on your page. That way students don't have to search, they can actually scroll through all of your openings and you can link it right back to Handshake. Bernadette sent you an email some time ago about a resume Dropbox. I believe we have about 37 employers that have taken this step and created a resume Dropbox, which I'll talk about in a moment. But that's a link you'll want to make available on this page. How to get to your website, any of your D&I initiatives, that's very big at Mason. We have a very diverse, we are the most diverse public institution in the state of Virginia. So your D&I initiatives, if you want to outline those, students will definitely be interested. And links to your social media account. Again, the more you give the students in advance, the less they have to talk to you about at the fair, and you could talk more about their skills and some of the other things you have going on. By the way, this already opened, so students are already on your page. Whether or not these features are there, they're already looking for them. So please, if you have someone at your company that can help to build out your page over the next couple days, that would be helpful. So about the platform, what we've seen in our research is that a lot of career fairs, a lot of job fairs that are in this space, they feature written chats, right? So people are in a written chat room, there's a lot of typing going on. Jobs Connected focuses more on the video chats. So what you're going to be allowed to do is have up to 30 participants in that chat room. People might call in, they can video with you guys back and forth. But that 30 participant cap does include you and your other recruiters. So it's 30 total participants, students, alumni, recruiters in one room chatting back and forth. So I just wanted to give you that expectation of what that would look like. There's still a chat feature. It's off to the right-hand side. And at the very bottom, you guys can be going back and forth in chat as well. So as we talk about staffing today, you might want to think who's more on the camera piece, who's going to be managing that chat piece. And then, of course, some students might just call in as well, but they would show up kind of like what you're seeing today on this platform. They would show up as either a phone number or just a name without the video. But everything's in a group. So something I can't reiterate enough, these aren't private, this is group messaging. So it's important for someone who's never been to a fair like this before to know that everyone sees everything. Okay, something else that I went too far. The notes section. There's a notes section that you'll be asked to build out. And again, I said, in webinars, we tend to drift in and out. This would be something I'd probably come back for. This notes section is really important, and it's unique, I believe, to what's happening in Jobs Connected. We are not going to provide you the email addresses of the students that showed up to the job fair. So students will be in your session, and then they'll leave. And you won't necessarily know who those students are, right? You won't have their email addresses. How will you reconnect with them? Jobs Connected will automatically send an email to anyone that was in your booth based on your notes section. So there's a notes section you'll be creating, and it basically could be like an FAQ, all your common questions, any of your job postings could be in that notes section. All also your takeaway message. So if students should be applying on a certain website, or if you wanted to share your contact details, that would happen in the notes section. Students can see it when they're in the booth, but as soon as they exit the platform, they're getting an auto email. So that's your follow-up email. It's with the notes section. But I've given you a couple of options of things you might want to drop into the notes section just so that you guys aren't having to repeat yourself time and time again. The common FAQs, the resume drop box, all that could be in the notes section for ease of use for the user, but also for your staff. Again, I know these are words on screen, but once you get into the platform, it'll be really obvious. Students, and by the way, I'm about to toggle over and take a look at the actual website. Students will find you at the career fair. I want to show you how they're going to find you at this event. So can everyone now see my web browser? I can see your face, Bernadette. You can see the web browser now?
No.
And not the PowerPoint? Not yet?
It's a gray screen.
That's not good. Okay, hold on one second. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. So it says I'm sharing 2 applications. Now is it showing the web browser? Yes? Okay. So when a student or a job seeker logs into Jobs Connected, this is the first thing they see. Obviously, they're logged in here because they've registered for the Mason event, right? At the top, it's going to say they can go right to the career fair. And if they were to scroll down, this is where your booth will be seen, right? So all in alphabetical order, all the booths are here. But let's be honest, if there's 100 booths showing, students are going to want to look very quickly for something that interests them. So they have these filters available. Show me the full-time jobs. So here are the companies that are listed that say they have full-time jobs. Show me just the companies that are hiring for internships. It automatically refreshes for them. Here they are. Another filter that's probably pretty important for you to know is the actual job titles. Who has open positions? So let's say that I'm really interested in being, let's see, direct care staff manager. Who's the person that's hiring for this? It's child help. By the way, this is, again, something very important that's worth coming back and taking an extra listen to. How is it that child help is being filtered based on this particular job? The way is because it's coming from Handshake. So whatever they inputted into Handshake, it's now drawing it here and telling students and job seekers, hey, this company has what you're looking for. The same with full-time jobs, part-time jobs. That's how the information is being filtered. So if you're a company that, for example, very quickly registered for our fair because you have 1,000 things happening, understandable, take a few extra minutes to go back into Handshake and upload more detail. The more information about your open jobs that are in Handshake, the more that we're going to filter properly and show students and job seekers how to get to you. I don't want anyone to miss an opportunity with you because the information's missing in Handshake. So please, if you have an intern with you this summer, if you have an extra couple of minutes, definitely go back and do this. This is critically important because that's how students find you. They're either going to scroll through 100 companies or they're going to come look at the open positions. So that is how it works. If there's any questions about that, Bernadette, I'm happy to be interrupted. I'd rather talk about this because it is very important.
So far, Victoria, we're just, some people are just asking about how to log back into Jobs Connected before the day. So I'm just about to put the links for each separate day onto the chat box so that you'll have that link. It was in some of the emails I sent, but I'll copy it here so that you have that.
Perfect, thank you. Also, as I mentioned already, everyone's going to get a copy of my slide deck today. So Bernadette, if you'd like to include those links as part of my follow-up email for ease of use, I'm happy to do that as well. So again, is it important to input your jobs into Handshake for this event? 100%, absolutely, please do so. Okay, the other piece is, let's actually look. If I were to click on, let me go back, I'm refreshing this now. Let's reset it. With full-time jobs, let me just click on one of my employer partners who says they're hiring for full-time positions. Here it is, it's Apple. So I'm clicking on Apple, and what has Apple shared for students? What will they be doing with their research? So far, and I apologize, I didn't know what I would see when I clicked here, but I don't see anything. So when students say they're interested and they come to this particular page, they don't see anything. So please go in and update your profile per Bernadette's link, get back in there and give us information, because right now students don't have much to look at. So that's pretty important. Since I'm here anyway, I'm going to also talk to you about another feature, and that is the question and answer feature. You see it in the middle of the page here. Students have been prompted to go in and ask you questions in advance of the fair. So please find someone on your staff who's going to be responsible for responding. Maybe you'll get one question, maybe you'll get 100. But as it gets closer and closer to the fair, the assumption is students will start to engage. So if I click on the question and answer piece, here's where students will leave their questions. Anytime someone leaves a question for your company, you'll get the email to whoever registered for the fair will get an email. And when they respond, it'll show up here for, of course, the person who asked the question to see, but for all job seekers to see. So everyone will come in here to this shared space and see your responses. It's called the Q&A feature. So please let us know if you have any questions about that. We don't know how active it will be, but it is something that someone on your team should be manning, every day, every other day, getting in there and answering those questions. So if there's no questions about this part of the platform, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. So let's make sure I'm sharing the right content. Stop sharing.
I'm sorry, okay. I did have a question.
Okay. Yes, please.
So the emails that you're getting from this question Q&A feature, those are emails that you would get straight into your inbox that you put into the system. So like, for example, the inbox for my company versus like an inbox within Jobs Connected?
Yes. So as an example, the one thing I was going to say, you'll hear it later, but I'm happy to address it right now. If you have questions about which email it's coming to, like if you're saying, I'm not seeing them, I want to change the email, support@Jobs Connected, which is going to flash on the screen in just a little bit, but that's the email that I would talk to, connect with, in order to change the email where it's going.
Gotcha. Thank
you.
Whatever,
yes. Thank you for asking that question. That was a good one.
Okay, I have a quick question too, please, about the so I just used the link that was posted to log in for June 18th, and it takes you to a registration page. So if I already registered, I don't have to do that, right? And I just click log in.
Yes, you should be able to log back in if you've already.
Okay. All right. So you don't have to register again.
Exactly. And that's a good question. Thank you. And also, just to let you know, Bernadette corrected me, but I'm 99% sure it's one person registering, right? It's not like every single person in their company is going back in. One person registers, and now everyone should have access.
Yes, you only need one registration to participate in the virtual fair. And then, as I said, later on, Victoria will cover how you're going to access it on the day of the fair so that multiple people can access. Because I see some questions coming up on around the access on the day of.
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to get to that very shortly. Before I move off this piece, I just want to, again, students, if you're unfamiliar, they come to our fair and they say, no one's hiring for me. This is what they say, but yet you're there with positions, but they don't see them because they're not in Handshake. So please, if there's someone at your team, on your team that can go in and post the positions, we actually had people on our team pull all the positions on your career site that don't appear on Handshake. And you're going to get an email from me talking about those open positions and nudging you to put them into Handshake, because it's critically important that they're there, because it's not just people at our job fair that see them, it's everyone. It's 50,000 Mason users have access to Handshake. So if you put it in there, the more hits you're going to get. So that's going to be my final plug for putting things in Handshake. Before I move on to the next topic, the resume Dropbox. Bernadette sent everyone an email, right? Because at a career fair that's in person, how do you get someone's resume? They walk up and they hand it to you. How do you get a resume at a virtual fair? We need the student or the job seeker to send it to you. So the way that we've done this is we've imagined a resume Dropbox. It's the easiest way. 37 companies, I believe, have already done this. I want to show you what it looks like. Bernadette gave you the instructions. We'll be happy to include that in today's follow-up email. But I'm actually going to share my screen again so that you can see it. Everyone should be able to look right now at Handshake. I have what can we help you find today? Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So Students will go into, if they go click on jobs, and let's just put virtual career fair. I'm spelling it wrong, but if you virtual career fair. Let's see, I saw that earlier today. I put resume Dropbox. I think that's what I actually put, resume drop. There it is. So resume drop, here it is. The 35 companies have already taken this step. So Harvey Salt Company, if you're on today, thank you so much. Here's your resume drop. I was actually looking at Rock's company earlier. I saw they already had 6 resumes that someone just went in there, different students just went in there and they dropped their resume off. So you don't have to wait till the day of the fair to source resumes. Students are already dropping them off for you. The more detail, the better. So here we have really robust information about the company, what they're hiring for, who they're looking for, and then, hey, just drop your resume off. Separately, students have been walked through this process. Students and alumni know the resume drop is there. They're going to be looking for it as a link during the career fair. You can post it on your employer page. You can post it in the notes section, in your actual chat area, and you post it here on Handshake. So everything is talking to each other. Very simple. You can do this in about 5 or 10 minutes and start collecting resumes right away, so you don't have to wait. If there's no questions about that, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint, but I'm just advocating for it. Thank you, Bernadette. Yes, it's an actual job posting that's named Resume Dropbox, and that's what students have been told to go in and to look for. Okay, so now we're back on the PowerPoint. I want to talk about staffing on the day of. There's been some questions about this, and then right after this, we should be going into technology. We are advocating for all companies who have registered. It was one of your registration questions. Can you stay until the end of the event? Please plan on staying to the end of the event. This is not a live career fair where we're standing and we're exhausted and we have to drive 3 hours to get home. We're asking you to keep your computer up and to be logged in until the end. Some people are parenting, some people are working, some people have other commitments, and meaning the students. They can't get there until later in the day. So if you could stay to the very end, please do so. And if you can't, we need to know ASAP because we are keeping track of who's leaving early. And since our events are going to be free for right now, and we had well over 200 registrations and we could only accept 100 employers to join us, leadership is watching to see if people are leaving early. And it could affect your participation in the future. So I just thought I'd put that out there. Please ask your staff, someone, if there's nobody in your room, you don't have to do anything. But if we could just have an employer on standby for student questions as they show up, that would be very helpful. Thank you. Part of the staffing also is who's going to answer the questions that are coming in from the Q&A. So making sure there's someone tasked on that Q&A piece that we just showed you about, that's a part of staffing. And then what does the flow look like for the day? Because this is a 5-hour event. Jobs Connected should already have created your account. They give you access, but consider the breaks. If your team is not going to be there for all 5 hours, create a staffing plan. That's really important. We also have an example of what it might look like to step away from your computer in just a minute. But one way to make your event, I think, a little bit more dynamic and more fun, you see it at the bottom there. What about presentations? Maybe every 15 minutes or once an hour, you have a presentation. So students and job seekers are showing up, and instead of just talking and talking, maybe you have a presentation on the company, on openings, on skill sets you're seeking, maybe just about the company culture, but you're welcome to do something like this, where you're giving a presentation regularly instead of just having your staff sit there and try to talk. Sometimes it makes the event feel longer if people are just kind of sitting there. The other thing I was going to ask you to consider is if you do a presentation, advertise it on your employer page. Let students know our cyber team is going to be here at 2 p.m. or we have Mason nursing alum that'll join us at noon. Please be there. So you're letting the students know I should come back to this booth. I should keep looking. You're going to cater to the introverts that way, but even students that are less familiar with the career fair feel more comfortable if they know what to expect. And if they're expecting a presentation or to get in there and see a certain type of employee, they might be more apt to click on join the employer's room. So just some feedback. Also with staffing, you might want to practice in advance, right? We never know. You saw us in the beginning. We had some technical challenges getting on and such. So we want to make sure that in advance of the event, so you're ready to go right on the day of, right at that time. Also consider who makes a good recruiter live on campus might be different than the person who's joining us for this event. So consider who's dynamic online versus dynamic in person. You might want to switch up some of the people that join this event.
Victoria,
Tech forward folks. Go ahead.
Victoria, can I interrupt for 1 minute? Just because a number of questions have come up around the staffing, and it is a little different from a in-person event. Some people have selected that a number of people are coming, and then we're getting a lot of questions about can additional people come. And the more we got to know this platform, the more we realized that there's a few things that they recommend about staffing, but you will be able to have additional people at the fair at different times. So you will have a link that you can share. So it doesn't have to be just the people that you signed up in the registration. They do say that having 5 people in the video chat room at one time is a little intimidating to students, so you may be able to swap them out. We're going to have a career services booth, for example, and we're going to swap people out, have one person on video, one person on chat, maybe for an hour, and then swap them out. So just to let you know, you will have quite a bit of flexibility on the staffing feature.
Yeah, I mean, Bernadette is always so good about making sure you have everyone registered for the live fair, right? Because we have catering to consider and parking. This is a bit different. If you share the link that Jobs Connected gives you, other people can join and they can be in that chat room as well. And then just again, I wanted to advocate for this. Think about sitting in a chat room for 5 hours talking to students. Maybe it makes more sense to have a rotating staff so people are fresh and they're excited. Plus, there's different students with different skill sets. They're seeing different people from your company. So just thinking through some of this, especially for those of you that this is your first time. You know, students definitely want to see a variety of folks, and they want to see themselves represented in who's on screen, right? So I already told you it's a very diverse campus. So thinking about, you know, who shows up to the career fair could help to make students feel connected to what you have going on at your company. All right, there's a lot around technology, so I just want to put this out there. I mentioned the website earlier, or I'm sorry, the email address earlier, but starting ASAP, Jobs Connected is available for you. If you have any questions, you know, my video is not uploading to their platform. I can't seem to upload a PDF. I want to show students this on my employer page. Email Jobs Connected. They are there to help you. Additionally, Bernadette, they offer 15-minute training sessions for everyone, right? If an employer wanted to talk to Jobs Connected for 15 minutes and walk through the platform, they're willing to do that with anyone, right? So.
Yes, indeed they are, and several employers have taken that opportunity because it is a whole new world. I just have one more thing on the that I'm seeing some questions around. So whether we do it now or do it later, but
please, yes.
One on if they don't take resumes and they want to send people to their website. As far as I understand, you can actually now or add it to the notes section.
Or you froze there.
Yeah. Someone's asking also if we could go over a little bit the notes area of the Jobs Connected feature on the Jobs Connected platform, and then when we have whether we have some FAQs. I think we do have a number of best practices, and we will be able to share that with you. But perhaps at some point we could go over notes again.
Actually, if everyone's okay with it, in that video that I went past earlier, I believe it shows what that note section looks like. So I was going to share it with you, but if there's the time, I can actually click on the video and show you the part that references the notes. Let's see. I know it's going to be a strain to load it, but at least you'll be able to see. And by the way, this is an example of an employer's page who put a bunch of stuff there. See, they have video at the top. They have some other things happening. So this is scrolling through an employer's page who's using multimedia.
Scroll down to learn more about employers. Students can view it before the career fair. Students can plan ahead which employers they want to talk to, start thinking about what questions they want to ask. Check out an employer's job posting. Students can click open positions.
So all of your open positions will be on the right-hand side of your page. So anything in Handshake, it's going to be linked to this area, so students are going back and job seekers are going back into Handshake to see your open positions. Okay, let's see the note sections a little bit further. Let's see. There it is. So on the day of the fair, do you see where it says click here to talk to the employer? That button is not yet live. The only thing that students have access to right now is the Q&A section. So on the day of the fair, when it starts, they're going to be able to click to talk to you, and that's when they're going to go into this next section.
Employers can hold group sessions, one-on-one, or both. Both employees and for employers, great website or any other have a slides can also. It's a great way to.
Did they show the notes on this one, Bernadette?
I don't remember, sorry.
Oh, here, there they are.
There we go, there we go.
Okay, perfect. Let's see if he clicks on it.
Chat. After the chat, it goes down to type here area. Type any message you want.
That's the public chat. You have to remember anything you put in there, every single person is going to read. The notes are the private part.
Actually, in this case, the notes are also public.
Oh, wow. That's scary. Okay, thank you for telling me.
Yes.
It's not very resourceful for us internally. We can't write anything that we need to, that we would want a colleague to know.
No, actually, there's a part about that I'm bringing up next, but what the notes are used for, yeah, thank you for bringing this up, since, again, there's different platforms, right, that are used for different purposes. So the way that Jobs Connected uses their notes section is for you as an employer to put, for example, FAQs that you want all students to see, or example, like a link to your job, a link to your website, your contact information if you wanted them to be able to follow up with you. So all that's in the notes. You're directing students to go to the notes to see that information instead of asking your team to continuously type it into the chat every time you're asked. Once a student exits your chat, exits your page, and they exit the Jobs Connected platform, the follow-up email they get is coming from this note section that says, thank you for visiting our booth. Thank you for visiting ABC Company's booth. Here's all of our notes. Please take advantage and apply for the open positions. We look forward to staying in touch with you. So that's how the note sections are utilized. So FAQs, common questions, but then also that's what's going out after the event in that note section. It's sent as an email because, again, you won't have access to that student's email. They won't share it with you. Jobs Connected doesn't give it to you. So how do you get it? It's going to be through that resume drop and through making sure students are connecting with you because they see all your jobs. So I'm glad we talked about this a little bit further, and I did not realize other companies were using the note sections internally like that. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint.
So if we collect resumes in an external's position, there's no way to follow up with students at all. They have to reach out to us.
Okay, so I'll make sure I clarify this. So if a student gives you their resume and a resume drop, then yes, you would have access to their information.
We're not
and you'd be able
collecting
to follow up
resumes.
with them.
We're not collecting resumes in the box. That's my question, because the resumes have to come through an external site. So if you're not collecting resumes and they're not allowed to give you an email and you're not allowed to ask for it, there's no way to follow up with anybody after the event. I mean,
Only the students that applied to your position.
So we can't follow, we can't continue recruiting anybody and okay. All right, I'm just trying to understand. That's very, very unusual for me. Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to understand.
Sure, I mean,
you can actually put in you want them to go and apply for a job at your website rather than give you details, because they can share details on, if they wish, on the in the chat box and stuff, like their email or something, can't they?
Oh, I thought Victoria said the students won't give us their emails. If we can ask for an email, that's fine.
Yeah, you won't.
Jobs Connected won't give it to you.
It's
okay, thank you.
Yeah, it has to be. So we had for data privacy reasons, they have to give it to you personally rather than.
Fine. Okay, I missed that part. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying. I know we're giving a lot of detail. I'm talking very fast, so I appreciate the chance to clarify. So this is about the support. So starting right now, everyone on this call can email as much as they want to Jobs Connected and ask them as many questions as they want. During the fair, Jobs Connected makes their tech team available, so they'll be in and out of your booths, but they have their own booths. So if you or your team are experiencing issues at the fair, the tech support is provided by Jobs Connected. We've spoken to other schools. They say there's never an issue. They're very much there. They only do one event per day so that they give all their resources to this event. Accessing the fair. This is a question I believe Bernadette heard earlier today. How do you access the fair? About 2 or 3 days before the fair, we assume the 15th or 16th, the lead recruiter will get a link, and that link is your entryway into the fair for the 18th or the 19th. So what you want to do is share that link with your team members who are also going to be at the fair. Everyone's using that same link. Just hold on to it. 20 minutes before the fair opens, click it in order to go in there, get yourself all set up for the fair. It seems pretty intuitive, very straightforward. I don't know if this is an issue at all, but that is the instructions that everyone's given us. Even the other schools say they just send a link, people click it, they go right into their booth, and everything's there for you. One thing I was going to say was testing the technology in advance seems obvious, but it's a good reminder. I should tell everyone, if you and your team checking your webcam, checking your background, making sure there's backup, sometimes there's issues with people's laptops, that's important. To the point, one of our employer friends asked today about how can I share notes with my colleagues if I don't have access to that notes section. So what other people are telling us they've been doing is opening a separate, for example, a Skype, a group Skype, some type of other platform outside of Jobs Connected, and they're talking to one another. So that has been the solution that we keep hearing from our employer partners. The other thing I was going to say was it's a good idea to have some way to get in touch with your other recruiter friends around the country, whoever it is that's also in the platform with you, because if someone has an emergency and needs to step away, you probably don't want to put that information in a public chat room. So you probably want to have some way, if it's a text message, a group text message, or a Skype or something, that's what we would advocate for, to be able to talk about what's happening in the platform, but in a private setting. Also, best practice that we were given is to have a copy and paste, like a Word document that your team is prepared. So if you're getting questions, you can just copy and paste some of those answers right into the chat box on the day of the event. I believe we've been asked the question, what if you need to take a break? Obviously, if you can be fully staffed for the whole day to allow for breaks, that's optimal. But in the event that you need to take a break and there's not going to be anyone in your room, we've put up a little example for you. You can just share your screen, and you can tell the individuals that you'll be back in just a little bit. That is also one of the functions. You'll be able to share your screen. So I talked earlier about having a presentation at certain times throughout the day. Yes, you can share your screen, and you can take students and job seekers through whatever material that you'd like to share with them. So that's also one of the functions inside Jobs Connected. Next, I just want to talk very briefly about some event strategy, since so many people told me they've never been to a career fair before, like in this setting. So we thought 5 minutes on this could be helpful. How will you fill your 5 hours? Open networking, certainly, but also the scheduled presentations that I've mentioned on a couple of occasions. I'm really advocating for that. I know Mason students would enjoy knowing when they can hear about certain types of positions. Like maybe there's certain times you're talking about certain job functions or positions. Maybe there's certain groups that are joining you throughout the day, like I mentioned earlier, the cyber team, the nursing staff, Mason alumni. Having your anecdotes ready, right? So maybe there's some stories that you wanted to tell. That could be helpful, getting the team's stories together so we have this powerful stories to tell the students as they're coming in and out. I advocate for Mason alumni meet and greet. Students love that. And keep reminding students about your Dropbox. Don't be afraid to say it over and over again. For those of you that are using the Dropbox feature, they need to give that information to you. I heard go ahead.
Quick question on that, since you're talking about Dropboxes. So the whole idea of the resume Dropbox as a position in Handshake, could you just walk through that just step by step so people have an idea what that means? I just want to give people the background as well. Part of the reason that we're trying to do this is so you have a way of collecting resumes at the time, because we couldn't have the students upload resumes ahead of time for privacy reasons and so forth. So we had to, so this is our way to do a kind of workaround so that you can have the ability to collect resumes on the day of. But Victoria will walk you through that.
So, and when I'm walking them through, am I walking them through the setup, or am I walking them through the rationale?
The setup.
Okay, so if for anyone on this call who's ever posted a job in Handshake before, it would work the same way. You would just, instead of labeling the job, deli clerk, it would be labeled resume drop. And then you'd be able to open the position now, and you'd be able to leave it open as long as you want. I don't think that when the career fair ends that day should be the last day that you have that resume drop open. I think you should continue to let it open. So you can expire that position whenever you'd like. But then in there, you're talking to them about either your company, the kinds of positions you have open, the kind of students that you're recruiting for. Because some people might have a job on the horizon. So maybe it's not here right now, or you're not hiring right now, but you're still looking for a kind of student or a kind of job seeker. So you want to explain all that in the resume Dropbox feature. And at the bottom, it just says, you know, apply here. And when they apply, they're simply attaching their resume. And once that resume is submitted, you and your team can instantly see it. So you just go back into the position and you see a list of all the resumes you've collected, and it'll give you all the details. Something else that I should mention to you is, as a Handshake user, if a student submits their resume to you, you can always engage with them on also a messaging feature. So Handshake has a messaging feature built in, and you then have access to talk back and forth on messaging with that student. So another way to stay connected with them, you know, because they engaged with you. But once you receive that resume, you'll be able to just download all the resumes into an Excel, or you actually can download the actual resumes and print them off, however you use that. And then you'd be able to, just like any other ATS, you'd be able to just look at the resumes and to source them. The system also allows you to say, like, pending, reviewed, declined, accepted, hired. So the platform does allow you to do that as well. So you could mark resumes based on what you have going on with them. But there is, inside the platform, there's a link that you would then be able to take. Here's the job link, and you'd post it right into your Jobs Connected employer page. So you just take your link from Handshake, post it into Jobs Connected, and everyone has direct access to your resume Dropbox. Is that helpful, Bernadette?
I think so. Yeah, it was just the mechanics of that. That's great.
Okay, and we're happy to walk you through it. Please don't feel like, you know, you're there and you're spending 3 hours. We'd rather help you because we want that on the website. We want students to see it. We want them to give you their resume. So also, it's just a strategy. If they're in the room with you, I would probably tell them, here's the link. Go right now to the resume Dropbox. Don't let them do it later. Tell them, you know, go ahead and just do it right now. I'll wait here. So that way they're giving you the resume without forgetting. Also prepared to speak. Oh yeah, this is, again, I've already said it once, I'm repeating myself. Students will get into that booth with you, and they'll ask you about jobs that aren't the target jobs you came there to recruit. The best practice is to be prepared to tell them a little bit of information about the positions. If there's someone you can connect them with. Students, a big concern that students have at career fairs is, I went there and they told me just apply online. They feel like it's a waste of their time. So this is probably a mismatched expectation. The employer expects to recruit for this position and not talk about these, whereas students want to talk about a variety of positions. So I'm just giving you that hint. That the more you know about those other positions, or if there's a strategy, a handoff, you know, I'm not the person, but talk to Bob. Bob will help you, and give that email address away so that they can go off and have a meaningful connection. That's very, very helpful for students. Advertise your events on the employer page. I've mentioned it once before. I'm repeating myself, but just to say, if you have a certain group of people joining you with certain information throughout the day, advertise it. Let students know. Come back at 2 o'clock. That's when you're going to hear about this type of information. For anyone who's ever recruited at Mason before, you probably have a bucket of students that you've spoken to before. You can tell them right now, hey, go apply for this job fair. Come back and be a part of what we have going on. We want to meet you at this virtual event. It's okay to nudge your previous candidates to come be a part of this job fair. They can meet you there. It's a good strategy. We just heard a question about how to follow up with students and job seekers after the fair. Whatever you have in the notes section is an automatically created email that all job seekers who are with you will see. They'll all get that information. Recruiters should be prepared to follow up and give those next steps. Guys, when you leave my booth today, please meet me on LinkedIn, go to the resume Dropbox, and you can expect to hear from us in 2 weeks. Students like that kind of information. When will I hear back from you? Make sure your team knows what the next steps will be, and they should be prepared to share it. In a moment, I'll introduce you to your industry advisor. If you don't know them yet, you'll see their picture and get their email address. I'm an industry advisor too. we're a great resource. We can help build out a long-term recruiting strategy for you at Mason. We can help you right after this event too. So please feel free to include us as you look to recruit students and alumni. You also have access to our virtual recruitment interviews. Christy Michaels in our office has a platform and she can help you. Generally speaking, it's on campus interviews, but we've transitioned to virtual recruitment interviews. If you'd like to consider how to interview the students that you're meeting at the fair, please reach out to us. I'm happy to plug you in and introduce you to Christy so that you can get some interviews done right after the event. Here are your team of industry advisors. If you don't know your advisor, we are separated by industry. So whatever category your company falls into, whatever industry, that's who would be assisting you. So you see us on screen. Feel free to jot down an email address and reach out to your IA, to your industry advisor. We're happy to help you out and make sure that our students know about you and you know about our students and that you know about all that we can do for you on campus. We don't want this to be a one-time event for you. We'd like to have something more long-term. So that's why I bring up the industry advisors. And now we're going to open it for Q&A. That's everything I had to say, but we're going to get into some questions because I know there's things on your mind that Bernadette and I did not touch on.
Well, you can redirect me if you want me to, if we should talk to support, but I've been trying to do some of these things as you've been advising him to see if they work, so I could ask questions. So I logged into Jobs Connect. I went to my company page. It has a little profile. I click on the link for my company page. I can't see how I edit it. You have an option. Oh, I'm sorry. It's at the very bottom. That's my fault. It didn't scroll down far enough. It looked like I had to set up a whole new page. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for asking. No, that's good. So that's what we all heard. We have to scroll to the bottom of the page. That's good.
Yeah, this is a very confusing platform.
Yeah, hi, Victoria. I'm going to also say that I found it really very confusing and I'm pretty tech savvy. So the reason I came today was to just get a walk through it, just at least in the beginning, just as if you could just show where to start. And then hopefully I'll be able to work my way through it then. But I just found it really confusing.
Do you mean
you said that your video wasn't working, but even just what you did just with your video then, just talk us through the notes section, that helped me visually. So if you could just do that from the beginning with the platform, that'd be really wonderful.
Do you mean how to log in from the beginning, like how to log in?
No, manage to log in, that's fine. It's just I'm not too sure. I know that you're talking about the employer homepage and this, that, and the other, but I'm not even too sure how to get to that point. You know, how to start building it out. Because it's as if we have to sort of build out a whole frontage, basically.
Well, I believe you will not see the notes and the chat and all that section until you get the link a few days before. So that's not something I think you can do ahead of time. Is my understanding correct, Victoria?
Yeah, I believe so. You're right.
So
not the notes section, but the other parts, they should be able to build that out right now.
Right. So it's just the building out segment that, you know, I want to spend some time on, and I just really want to get some ideas on the best way to do it and how to start doing it.
So, okay, the Nikki at Jobs Connected offered a 15-minute, I did a couple weeks ago. I have to say, I really thought when I finished it, I understood it, and now I'm confused again. And I've been virtually recruiting for like 6 or 7 years, and I've used 5 different platforms this year. And unfortunately, this one is the most confusing for me. It might be once I start doing it, but if you email support at Jobs Connect or Connected, jobsconnected.com, and maybe ask for that one-on-one walkthrough, it might be helpful for anybody who's listening, along with the video that Mason has embedded, you know, here. This is a step-by-step walkthrough too. So, but it's
yeah, I mean, I've called them, so hopefully they'll call me back, or I'll send them an email as well. So yeah.
This is good feedback. Yeah, I have not heard this yet. So, and that's part of, you know, of course we have a post-event survey asking you, because we have more than one option available to us as far as platforms. So it's helpful to know what the experience is for our employer users.
I'd like to comment that I've been using Handshake to recruit, and Handshake is very step-by-step. I'm not an experienced virtual recruiter. and it has a spot for everything, right? So it has a spot for me to put in a social media link. It has a spot to put in my company homepage. Jobs Connected, it seems like maybe I'm missing something, but literally there's just like a place that says organization description, and I'm responsible for putting in all the links, populating it. It's a very difficult platform to use, especially if you're using Handshake. Like, these are two very different approaches.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
I'm also a solo recruiter, so I'm trying to understand, and I can tell me if you want me to talk with Nikki. I'm going to have to manage people calling and videoing and chatting into my room simultaneously.
The call and the video are in the same spot, right? So it's, if someone's calling into the room, it means their video is off and they're using the phone.
Okay.
But yes, the other two platforms, one would be for the chat box and then one would be for the video.
So I need 3 screens open, or it all happens in the same screen? It's just a different response technology.
You're right. It's all happening in the same screen. Yes, you should be looking at one screen. But again, if you're on screen and people are chatting, you can also let them know, hey guys, I'm just doing the video right now. Please please either call in or log in with your video to chit chat. If you're solo.
I have this feeling I'm not going to be able to figure it out until I'm in the moment, and it's either going to work or it isn't. And we'll see what happens.
Well, it is a new adventure for everybody, and I know there's a ton of platforms out there. We reviewed a few that were within our budget, and I'd be interested to get some. We'll definitely be obviously surveying the employers very particularly after this first event and see how we thought it was a little bit more intuitive to the students and wasn't too much of a learning curve for them. But we'll definitely take the feedback we can, because there's a lot out there, and we're not married to one or the other at the moment. So we'll see how it goes, I think.
And so now, Bernadette, that we know this, maybe we can get the 15-minute tutorial as well, so that we can better respond as our employer partners are asking us about how to.
Yeah, good idea.
So I come back to this video that's on the screen now. This is the one that's in the portal as well. Or?
This is the one that's embedded into the slideshow that I'm going to send you in a little while.
Okay.
So you'll have access to this in just a few minutes.
Okay.
So it sounds like the number one issue so far is setting up those employer pages based on either the assistance that you're being provided or the lack of, I guess, it's just not as intuitive as we'd like.
There's just no space within the jobs, your company page that says because there is you add your organization name, you add the job location, open positions, the description, but there isn't a section that says add video here or add social media links here. It just has we're adding an image and the URL, your job posting URL, but there is no other thing. So it's not clear as to where I might add some of those media features.
And also just the fact that you said you can add video, you can make it really quite interactive. It didn't come across in that way. So it's interesting to see this particular employer build out that they've got the videos, that they've got, all different type of media, which is wonderful. So yeah, but even being able to go through this example, if you could maybe just take us through it so we can see the capability of the platform. So in this particular example, this video you see on screen this person's already built out their page. So it's not showing us if they're, for example, copying and pasting a YouTube link and then that populates it. That's not obvious based on this page. But that's information now that you guys are asking. Of course, we're going to go get it for you and find out exactly how to direct you to do these things.
I have a separate question. So the resume drop box, would that be recommended to first be created in Handshake and then have a link to Jobs Connected? Because in Jobs Connected you can, okay, yeah, perfect.
Yes.
I'll do that.
You're right.
I have a follow-on question to being a solo recruiter. So, the person just mentioned that you'll be juggling video and phone and chat. Is it possible to just enable one? Because if there's only one person manning the booth, you cannot answer all three mediums at the same time. Is it possible to put up a banner on your chat room to say, hey, we're on a call, or, calls preferred or video chat preferred, something to that effect?
So the call feature is basically like what we have here this morning on our webinar. It just means that they're attending the room using a phone, maybe because they don't have access to a computer, or there's an accessibility issue or something like that. So that is not anything separate that you have to man. I don't know if you can actually close the chatting feature, or you could put a note saying you're not chatting, I guess. What do you think, Victoria?
I think we can ask him whether or not we can turn off the feature. I think that's the easiest thing. If they can just, it's plug and play, so hopefully they can just go ahead and turn off the chat feature if that's what somebody wants.
So just to understand, if we write in our notes, chat feature currently disabled, room crowded, or I'll be back in 15 minutes, then that will also appear in the follow-up email to students, because they're going to pull everything in the notes section. So it's going to look like potentially, if you use the notes as a communication tool, it could look like a pretty unprofessional follow-up email.
So this is where I would do is I would have a screenshot, right? So you're sharing your screen and it says, we'll be back in 15 minutes.
Okay.
I wouldn't put that in the notes section. I would just have it on screen, because students still have to go searching for the notes section. It's not the first thing that shows to them.
Right.
In terms so I know that you were saying the different modalities of filling up the 5 hours. Is it possible to just maybe do 3 different, so presentations 3 different times? Or would you want us to be there for the full 5 hours? So let's just say we have a, I don't know, 30-minute or 45-minute presentation plus Q&A session. Can we say, well, at 12 o'clock, presentation starts, then at 2 o'clock, then at 5 or 4 o'clock, and then we're there then? Or would you prefer us to be there all the time plus also do the presentation?
No, that's a good question. I hadn't anticipated that question. The message we've been sharing is, if you could be there all 5 hours, that would be optimal. But also on screen, again, if you needed to step away, the best thing is to say with a message like this, next presentation starting in 45 minutes, please join us then.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like it's pretty obvious, right? Like I'm going to come back in a few minutes. I'm not going to expect anything right now.
So Victoria, someone asked us if we can send this screen so they could use that. You could use that, or you could do your own branded page, maybe with your picture. You say, I'll be back in 10 minutes, or I'll be back at a certain time. Whatever works for you.
If it's helpful, I can attach just this one slide that's editable, so you guys can, on your end, you can put your company name at the top, and if you wanted to drop your logo, you could, and then you could just edit it. So
perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very nice. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. But again, I just wanted to just go back to the original concern. What Bernadette and I are going to do is we're going to reach out. We're going to get some answers so that we can properly direct our employer partners. So give us a day. It's Friday. Hopefully he's available. If the contact's not available, then by Monday, we're hoping we have some answers for you, and we can reach back out via email with whatever the direction is, like step by step, as you guys are saying. Here's a screenshot. Here's the step by step. Here's how you should include these media pieces to your page. So we'll by early next week, we'll have that out to everyone. Is that okay, Bernadette?
Sure.
Okay. And so if we need to, I mean, I'm making myself available. If we need to hop back on one of these calls, for a half an hour next week and say, everyone got your email, now ask us more questions or whatever. We want it to be a successful event for you too. So let us take that next step, get some answers, send out what we have, and then we will, if we need to have another call, towards the end of next week, we can do that as well. Any other questions? No? Okay, good. All right, and then in the meantime, you know, support at Jobs Connected is available, and of course, Bernadette and I are available as well. I know you have Bernadette's email, but feel free to email either of us. Mine's Suarez at Mason. And we look forward to having a, you know, a really good event, but just knowing that it already started because students are already on there. So we're hoping to get you what you need as fast as possible so that they can really become familiar with who you are and what your company has to offer. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.